All right, everybody. Here I am again, Louise Edington, the Cosmic Owl of Cosmic Owl Astrology, here with my owl mug. By the way, I do have merch below. I never promote it, but if anybody fancies it, you can go and have a look with my fun owl logo on. Oh, where is it? Oh, there anyway. So I wanted to come today because it seems like my hot days video kind of panicked a few people. Well, I want to say that the energy is kind of erratic and anxiety inducing and panicking. And Mercury is stationing retrograde on my sun. So, apologies if I wasn't clear about some things. So I'm going to lay out a little timeline for you. I've made a graphic so you can screenshot it if you like for dates, but I do kind of want to emphasize that this is all kind of a big conglomeration of chaotic aspects. But the first thing I want to address, because I was looking specifically at the area around the 5th and 6th, I mentioned that the Mercury Cazimi, which is when the Sun and Mercury are together, and it's actually conjunct the nodes of Uranus. Here you can see the node. Am I sharing the right one? I'm just going to check. I wasn't sure if I was. Yeah, I think I was. So this is the line I was talking about. Okay, so here's the Sun, here is Mercury, here is the Uranus nodes. And Uranus nodes are kind of like Uranus on steroids, but I want to emphasize that Uranus is not always bad. Uranus is aha moments, breakthroughs, kind of sudden change. I should not perhaps have mentioned when Uranus moved into Aries, because that's a whole different sign. Okay. So, first thing I want to say is this is the line of the Cazimi. It is going right through the whole of North America, but it's also going down to near El Paso to the Mexican border. In my effort to locate it, the line, I mentioned that it was slightly to the west of Denver, which it is, because Denver is one of the nearest cities to me. But this is going through all of these areas. And I also invite you to think about the nature of Mercury and Uranus. Mercury and Uranus are of the mind more. They're said to be of Mercury is this mind, kind of our rational thought, our communication, our sifting information, our learning, and then Uranus is kind of like the higher mind, kind of plucking ideas out of space, literally, put pieces together, radical breakthroughs, innovative ideas, and the Uranus nodes are extra to Uranus. They're kind of more Uranus. Now, to my mind, having this Cazimi on the Uranus nodes and with the Venus star point from June the 4th being at 14 Gemini as well. If you remember, they're all lined up. And also Jupiter being involved, because so here's the Jupiter line, right? Here's the Jupiter line. It's the dotted one. So just to the right of this big thick line. And I don't want to zoom in because I want to show you how it's everywhere. Somebody pointed out, and I think it was a great point, that this is pretty much the line of the continental divide. So, in some ways, this could be seen as the east-west divide, or, the opposite views, the right versus left brain. Anyway, because of where it's going and the nature of the signs, because Mercury and the Cazimi is in Sagittarius, and these are all mutable signs. This could just be information, news coming out, all of those kind of energies. All right. this could be news that really changes the direction. I love, in a way, that it's right down the middle of the country, pretty much, that continental divide, because it could actually be information and news that kind of brings people together. But for those of you that live near Denver, I'm so sorry that you kind of freaked out, because this line does go close to Denver. Jupiter is going through Denver on this Cazimi, but it also goes through a million other places. And we have to think of the nature of the signs too. So I wanted to bring some reassurance in. So I'm going to stop the share, and I just want to talk to you a little bit about mutable signs before I go and show you this graphic that I've made with dates. So, so mutable archetypes of the zodiac are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. The archetype of mutability is change, and it is often quite chaotic. Okay. But mutable archetypes, if you are a mutable archetype, are usually better able to cope with change. So with all this mutability going on at the moment, and you'll see in the graphic when I show you how much mutability there is, mutable signs will probably kind of roll with the changes more than many. I'm very mutable myself. Fixed signs will probably find it the most tough, all these changes to deal with. Water signs will probably feel a bit threatened and emotional about it all. And, I get all of that. But that's why I'm doing this this mercurial mind magic class, because the best way to work with all of this mutability that's going on at the moment is to do some mind magic and learn how to change your perceptions. So, if you think about the energy of the signs, Gemini really is kind of about information, learning, all that kind of thing. Sagittarius is about natural laws and truth. There's many other things. You can go and look up more meanings if you like. And Pisces really is about universal, timeless principles. Sagittarius is also kind of belief, and Pisces is faith. Gemini is also community. So there's such a lot going on here, right? So I just want to kind of delve into this a little bit more, because also Mercury is going retrograde in the sign of Jupiter, and Jupiter is retrograde in the sign of Gemini. So they're in mutual reception. I do not consider them to be in detriment. I just consider them to be really speaking to each other. But let's look at the whole energy of Gemini and Mercury, because Mercury is the guide to Gemini. So this again, just to go a little bit further, is about information, data, facts from the external environment. It correlates with the rational, the empirical, the logical component within consciousness, the left brain. Gemini really is about the function within consciousness that labels, classifies, names things, okay? There's an inherent restlessness within Gemini because it's always taking in new information, facts, ideas, in order to learn more. Yeah, my moon, Gemini. And Gemini is also how we communicate with others, the nature of information we absorb. And it's also about learning to respond rather than react to information. So, there's so much going on here. And then Mercury is the planetary ruler of Gemini, and Mercury, or guide, I prefer. Mercury is in Sagittarius, the sign of truth and retrograde. It's exploring what's true. All right. So, this is a very complex picture we have going on right now. Now, on the other side, let's look at the archetype of Sagittarius and Jupiter. So Sagittarius is about understanding the nature of the universe, what gives life meaning, what is the meaning of life. It's a philosophical or in metaphysical context. I'm constantly exploring these things. It also relates to the intuitive consciousness component within consciousness, the right brain. So we've got these right brain, left brain speaking to each other and coming together, all right? And the right brain just knows what it knows. I've always said I just have a knowing, all right? So, and it doesn't always know how it um, knows, okay? It's also belief systems again. And so, this is how we interpret life itself. So, and it's also ethics and all these kind of things, all the things I've studied all my life, and natural law, which are those which are self-evident in nature and do not require a specific belief system. Sagittarius and the archetype and Jupiter itself, the guide, are all about expansion, higher knowledge, higher learning, embracing more and more of what's true and what, all of these things. But it can be an overgeneralization. All right, so, there's always a shadow. Now then, Pisces, because we've got a Pisces aspects to Saturn in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces, and Neptune is stationing direct. Pisces and Neptune is in the sign of Pisces right now. This is timelessness. This is the totality of creation itself, the cosmic soup, the collective unconsciousness, including whatever it is, the mind of God, whatever you want to call it. This is universal laws operating outside the spectrum of time and space, and are always true, okay, outside the passage of time. This really reflects the need for all people, in all people, for ultimate meaning. Okay, so, but ultimately this can only be found through a direct connection with whatever it is, the divine source, spirit. Okay, so with its being square to Sagittarius, okay, this is melding our beliefs and what we're finding to be true and what we're learning about with this faith in the greater whole, or whatever you want to call it. But there's also delusions, illusions, and fantasies in the Pisces archetype, and conspiracy theories, and so on, and idealization, and even fanaticism. And this can occur in this archetype because of a projection of ultimate meaning. And that's why it's so important to filter the information and the ideas through Gemini. All right. So, and through looking at the facts and trying to sift the information. So I think that's kind of given you a little bit more of an idea. Now then, I'm going to show my graphic, and I am not going to show the charts again. I will be talking about all these aspects over time. Kathy and Andy and I will be looking at all these aspects with all the players in what's going on. Now, I will say that whilst we have this inherent intuitive feeling that Kamala won the election, we're not sure who is going to be inaugurated in January. There's so many shifting sands, and I know people want certainty. It's just human nature to go, well, tell me what this means. Tell me where this is going. So I thought I would create this, and please, please screenshot if you want. I'm trying to make it bigger so you can see it as big as possible. Okay. So I'm taking you through the whole month of December, starting with the Sagittarius new moon. Now, all I'm going to point out is that this is mutable. Mercury opposed Jupiter for the second time, because now Mercury is retrograde, mutable. Sun square Saturn, mutable. Mercury Cazimi, mutable. Mercury opposed Uranus North Node and the June the 4th VSP, mutable. I'll come back to just the few anomalies. But then December the 6th, Mercury squares Saturn. Kind of all this is really happening at the same time. Mutable, okay? Then I'll come back to that one. Then we have Sun opposing Jupiter, which incidentally is about the middle of the retrograde of Jupiter in the sign of Gemini, because when the Sun opposes a slower moving planet during the retrograde, Jupiter, that means the planet is usually closest to Earth, which means it's really impactful. Okay, so you can see there's so much around this 5th, 6th, 7th. Oh my God, yeah. But I just want you to kind of get a feel of why it's hard to give definitive outcomes with this. Mutable is chaos and shifting and changing. So anyway, then Neptune stationing direct, mutable, incidentally, in square to the galactic center at 27 Sagittarius, which is new information coming in that we have not known before. It's like a cosmic defragger. Then we have occultations, which are like eclipses. They actually usually reveal something. We have Moon occulting Saturn, and that's mutable. And we've had occultations of Saturn and Neptune almost every month this year. This has been nuts this year, but this month is kind of like concentration, okay? First quarter moon after the new moon where we started in Mutable Signs. Then moon occults Neptune. Okay, so this occultations, occult means hidden. The moon blocks the planet, usually reveals something more. Then we have, I'll come back to the other fixed signs, but then we have on December the 14th, we have more mutable stuff because the moon comes up to conjunct Uranus North Node. So, but that's right at the Gemini full moon, mutable, which incidentally is really right on Donald Trump's full moon himself. So anyway, we'll be looking at that. But then at the same time as the Gemini full moon, Mercury stations direct, mutable. But it also stations direct in aspect to Leo, Mars in Leo, which stationed retrograde on December the 6th. So, but that's more mutability. Then on December the 18th, we have the Sun squaring Neptune while the Sun sits on the galactic center, more mutable. Then the mutable begins to ease a bit because we have the solstice and the Sun moves into the sign of Capricorn, but we still have Jupiter square to Saturn, Mercury opposing Jupiter for the third and final time, and more mutability. So, change. Planets changing signs, all these aspects, mutual reception, occultations. It's really hard to say which way this will go, which is why we're doing series of videos with what's going on in the world, and why I try and break it down on a weekly basis, and why it's really important to sift what's coming through. Okay. Then in December as well. Sorry, I just heard one of the cats. I'll go and see them after this. We do have Mars stationing retrograde, as mentioned. That's on the North Node of the USA, which is going to kind of bring a big turnaround as well. So it's yet another turnaround. And that's in cardinal, sorry, that's in a fixed sign. So that's kind of going to break some, break something that's usually been fixed in stone. It's going to change something that's been fixed in stone. Then we have Venus and Ceres conjunct at the very last minute of Capricorn, which was where Pluto was. They meet as if to say divine feminine taking down the patriarchy. And then Venus, Pluto, and Ceres all meet at 0 Aquarius. I've got another meme for that 0 Aquarius that I've shown many times. So maybe I'll show that so you can just take that. I invite you to look at these degrees and look at how many times they're activated, right? But then after December the 7th, while we've got all the other mutable kind of things, we actually have the moon will square Venus and Mars as they oppose each other on the 11th and 12th. And that's shifting the fixed signs. Okay. Venus and Mars, the divine feminine, the divine masculine, kind of facing off to each other. The moon will actually be in a Venus guided sign. I really kind of think patriarchy is, but we'll, we'll have to see which wins out. Nothing is set in stone. Energy is fluid. It's how we respond to all of this and how we react, which is why I'm doing the mercurial magic course. Anyway, then we have the solstice. So the sun moves into Capricorn. That's time to move forward. That's a big shifting time itself, though. The solstice, in the northern hemisphere where most of the news action is taking place, that's the sun stands still for 3 days, which is what solstice means. And then we start to gain light again. So that indicates that there could be some light starts to be shone on Capricorn structures and all that kind of stuff. Okay. And then more mutable. But then the sun will immediately square the nodes on the December the 23rd. And I don't want you all to freak out about this. What I'm trying to tell you is that when you all go, but what does this mean? We're trying to make sense of it, and we are going to keep doing videos as information unfolds. There has to be an element in this of kind of going with the flow and trusting and flowing. But December the 23rd, the sun squares the nodes. That's called the bendings or the moon wobble, halfway between eclipse seasons. And that is another big point of change. Okay, it's if I'm trying to be mindful of what words I put in people's minds, but there's often big events around the moon wobble time, shall we say. So, and then on December the 29th, which incidentally is also the day that Pluto leaves the 0 degree Aquarius mark for the last time, Chiron stations direct. So another shift and another change of direction. And I will have more to say about that at that time. But look, it's at 19 degrees, which Chiron was conjunct the April the 8th eclipse at 19 degrees. Chiron was at 19 degrees when the nodes entered Aries and Libra. And then we have the Capricorn new moon to end the month. And we start another lunar cycle. So all this to say, really, so last chance to screenshot. This is chaotic. This is crazy. This is nuts. This is why I believe, and because I talked about a lot of the integration of the right and left brain, and then also with connection with source, which is Pisces, we have to bring our intuition into it, which is why Kathy, I, and Andy, we both have strong intuition. Andy's a professional psychic. I don't really do predictions. Kathy and I think, really tend to intuitively feel what's happening in the chart alongside the rational side of it, which is the astrology. And we make the best judgment we can on the outcome. But I will say the outcome is fluid at this point. And I know people really want to know the definite outcome. I do kind of trust some of the psychics out there, but then they don't all agree either. I still feel, and I keep getting messages that corruption and truths and things are going to be revealed that will change the direction of all of this. And I really still see Kamala being the next president, but we'll see. So I'm going to pull some cards just to kind of give you a little bit of guidance. These are not predictive either. All right. So this is where we are at the moment. And this is the Three of Swords. And this is sorrow. And it's like the mind. Okay. Oh, this is on the Mercury station. Swords are the mind. Okay. This is like, you know, the news that is coming in is piercing and everybody's kind of going, this is horrible, this is awful, I'm really scared, what's going to happen? And it's understandable. Now let me tell you what to see what Angelis Arian says about the Three of Swords. And I might look what the original Book of Thoth said too. The Three of Swords represents sorrow, but this is sorrow held in the mind or reworked in the mind. It's specifically negative thinking about the past and the parts of the past that have produced sorrow. Now, I will say that this is going, you know, oh my God, still all this hand-wringing over the election. I mean, at the moment, it is what it is. I cannot watch even my favorite YouTube newsy people right now because there's too much hand-wringing. And I don't know if you know, what's his name on MSNBC, who does, Lawrence O'Donnell does the last word. He did not do a post-election, who did what wrong, who did this wrong. This is all this mind twisting that we've got going on at the moment. There's no point until we know the full facts, right? Until all the votes are counted. That's Gemini as well. And they still aren't. So anyway, on the Book of Thoth, this is dark and heavy card, the womb of chaos, all right? He says this is the womb of chaos, and this is what we're in. We're heading into the dark moon as we do this. The new moon on December the 1st is the 3-day no moon phase, the dark moon. We are in the womb of chaos, okay? And this is probably what you're feeling. But there is inside an intense lurking passion to create, but its children are monsters, he says. He says secrecy is here. And this is... this is the fear, I think, of this storm that's out there. But then we get the Ace of Discs. Okay. By the way, this is always like focus on your self-care card to me, because I said it's going to give you guidance, and it did. So I do want to say, what does he say about the Ace of Discs? This is Earth, of course. And this one is new beginnings, but it's also the one, so it's you focusing within on your own self-care is what I'm going to say about this. I'm not even going to kind of read everything. I just want to quickly look if he's got any words that kind of help. What a strange book. I'm going to have to read more of that one. But let's go to Angelis Arian. I love this book about this. These cards, and let's look at the Ace of Discs from her perspective. Okay, and of course discs are at the end. She said this is success that's experienced both internally and externally. She goes on to talk about it. So really, as well, this is gratitude to my mind. What is a success? What am I grateful for? And then we get a lovely card as well. So things, I still think things are heading in the right direction, people. But 3 of Wands. And somebody came on my thing saying, I just want the astrology. I don't want the tarot. And I'm saying, well, you go and do that then. Anyway, this is integrity. This is union of mind, heart, and action working in concert with each other. All I'm going to say is all you can do is act out of integrity and do that self-care and look after yourself. This is the womb of chaos. We are in an unbelievable time. This month is an intense portal of it. We've got more change to come, but it's a bit more spread out. This month is just wild, to be quite honest. And so please, please don't freak out by hearing one word that I say or that other people say and thinking, oh my God, I live near Denver. Am I doomed? I'm sorry, I should not laugh. I get it. It's horrible. This is not a fun time. Okay. But stinking thinking or negative thinking or what ifs or thinking the worst. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen with this energy. Please do not project the worst. And come to my class. I'm recording this. It's 11:41 a.m. Mountain Time. That Mercurial Mind Magic class coming into community. Really getting focused within and finding your inner truth. Well, there's a lot to it, of course. Will really help, but you can also do your own thing as well. Do self-care. Love you. And wear your crazy t-shirts. This is Mary Shelley. Beware, for I am fearless and therefore powerful. Mary Shelley. Step into your power. Love you.